Hi, welcome to the Los Angeles Tribune, where we are in the midst of Leadership Week. I'm excited to bring on Brad Lea, right? The person who leadership starts with his last name. Yes, you can't have leadership without Brad Lea. But I want you guys we're going to have a candid conversation discussing leadership, talking about it. It's a topic we have talked about several times, but the goal of the show here is to say what makes a good leader, why would somebody want to be a good leader, and overall, how do we define leadership? One of the things that I defined back on day one when we started was leadership provides a vision that encompasses everyone that is in the actual company, the family, the things like that. Are you providing a vision large enough for other people to achieve their goals within the same vision? And so, Brad, I just want to throw back over to you and say thank you so much for coming on to share with us. And I know it's a topic that we have discussed several times. So,
Well, thanks, Joe. Thanks for having me on.
absolutely.
Hello,
Absolutely.
everyone out there in internet world. Joe,
That
when
is
you started talking, you said you had three questions. I forgot the third one, but one was, what's a good leader? Why do you
right.
want to be a good leader? Was there a third one?
And then how do we define leadership
How do
today?
we define leadership? That's a great question. I haven't been able to define leadership in all my years. It's always escaped me. It's a very big word. But I think more people are leaders than they realize. Why? Because I think if you have any influence over anyone, then you're a leader. And I think you need to take the responsibility as a leader to become the best leader possible. I believe the best leader, when you say what is a good leader, the best leader is the one that creates other leaders. That is what I would say is a good leader. What's a good leader? One that creates other leaders is a good leader. Okay. One that gets you where you're going. Okay. One that empowers. I could keep going on what is a good leader, but it boils down to a good leader creates good leaders. That's a good leader. Now, why do you want to be a good leadership? Or why do you want to be a good leader? Well, I mean, it goes without saying. Why would you want to be good at anything? But why you want to be a good leader is because if you have any ambition whatsoever in life and you want to get someplace big or accomplish something big, you cannot do it without a team. Therefore, you would want to be a good leader because being a good leader allows you to build a good team. In fact, there is no such thing as a bad team. Only bad leaders. Learned that from my man, Jocko Willink. Had an argument with him here at Lightspeed at one point. Not an argument, obviously, but, a debate, a conversation. And I didn't fully understand what he meant, but now I do. And it's 100% true. There are no bad teams, only bad leaders. So why would you want to be a good leader? Well, because you got to have a good team. You're going to need a good team to get someplace big. So you want to be a good leader so you can more quickly build and maintain that team.
So if I'm defined by my team, right, which I'm in agreement, right? The leader has to have a great team. What would you look for as the key attributes for that team?
Well,
what is it that we're trying to find out? Yeah.
Well, it depends on the team, Joe, and where you're going. The team going to Antarctica is going to look different than the team going to, Turks and Caicos. So it depends on where you're going. It depends on the plan, the mission, etc., to determine what the team looks like. But I mean, an overall good team is a like a team as a whole. There's no such thing as, well, we have 5 good players on our team, but our team sucks. And when I said there's no such thing as that, I mean, there is such a thing as that, because there's 5 good players on a team, but a team's a whole. 5 good players is not a team. A team is a whole. So to have a good team, every single position needs to be good. Every butt needs to be in the right seat.
Right.
So again, it takes a good leader or good leadership to identify when somebody might be a good fit, but not in that position. In other words, they're good people. They work hard. They fit the culture, but they're in the wrong seat. You wouldn't have a good team if everyone was screwing up every day. You wouldn't have a good team if, most people are pretty good, but some are not. If you cannot say as a leader that you have a good team, well, then you need to go look in the mirror and realize that you are a bad leader, because there are no bad teams, only bad leaders. So if you ask yourself right now, do you have a good team? If the answer isn't yes, I have a great team, well, then you, sir or ma'am, are the problem. You need to go learn and develop the definition of leadership and understand that it is impossible to have a bad team, because there are no bad teams. There's only bad leaders.
That's phenomenal. So, I mean, I've been part of teams where an individual that can't pull their weight doesn't get disciplined or somehow gets, praised for their lack of effort, right? And then it causes what? The team dynamic goes down.
What did you
right?
just say, though?
That I've been part of the team.
No,
Or they're praised.
someone on the team wasn't basically carrying their weight.
Correct.
Right? So whose fault is that?
Yeah, the leaders.
The leader.
Yes.
So therefore, it's not a bad team, it's a bad leader. So a lot of people out there trying to figure out, well, who do we need for the team? Folks, you need leaders. Okay, good leaders will insist upon and create good teams. Now, the question is, well, how do you become a good leader? Well, again, there's a lot of ways to do something. There's not just one way to do it. However, I've found that one of the ways to become a good leader is to take the time to understand and get to know every single one of the people on your team and what motivates them, because everybody is not the same. And you can't just come out with one leadership style and expect everybody to respond to it. Why? Well, they're individuals. There's a lot of people out there that think they're good leaders because they're in the position and they're confident and they're bold, but they don't know what makes every single person on this team tick. They don't know what their particular goals are, right? And if you can get your goals as a leader to align with their goals as individuals, well, now you're going to get a lot more momentum and production. Why? Well, because you figured out how to get what they want tied into what you want. And that's going to get you the most out of any situation. So if you're in a leadership position, take the time to understand who are you leading and what makes them interested. What do they want?
No, that's perfect. Because again, from personal experience, I've been through it where the leader itself created a team underneath them of people pissed at the leader. Right. And so it wasn't that it was about accomplishing a goal. It was about the everybody angry about what's not happening on the team. And so you have a team cohesiveness. And that's where I think I want to make the clarity is that it's not about do they all get along? It's about do we all know what to do, how to do it, and are we the right butt in the right seat to get the outcome we're looking for, that as a leader you have provided that information to. So I do love that. So if somebody wanted to sit back, and is there almost like a little checklist that somebody would have to go through to say, here's what I got to check on my team? Like when you talked with Jocko, you were defending a certain position. Now you're like, whoo. And again, I give you credit because you went and sought information, went out there, took it back and said, hey, this is a reframe for myself to come in. And now you can see it and ultimately become a better leader because of it. So.
Yeah, well, again, I mean, awareness allows you to become better at anything, like even if you're an alcoholic or some sort of addict, admitting that you are and realizing that you are allows you to then correct and heal. Leadership's no different. When I was, debating with Jocko about there's no such thing as bad teams, I've been a part of them and I've had them, and it was just a perspective shift to realize that if I were a good leader, it would be impossible for me to have a bad team. So the only possible way to have a bad team is if you are allowing it, which would make you a bad leader. So literally, there's leaders all over the country right now, and they're in a leadership position. So let's call them leaders, even though they're not really leaders. See, there's the problem in today's world. There's so many people in leadership positions that are considered leaders when they're not leaders. They're just in a leadership position. And so now leadership gets a bad name, when in reality, a good leader, number one, is going to be good at leading themselves. First of all, if you get people that follow you, do they even want to follow you? Why would they want to follow you? Do you do what you say you're going to do? Are you the example? Do you know where you're going? Are you confident? Are you capable? Are you able? Because if you can't lead yourself that way, how do you expect other people to follow you? Ultimately, easily, people will follow you if you are someone that they want to be like. So like, for example, people should respect the leader. People should want to become the leader, which is why I said a really good leader creates other leaders. And then those good leaders create other good leaders, and so on and so forth. But just because you're in a leadership position doesn't necessarily make you a leader.
Fantastic. So question, because again, you do have multiple businesses in which you have to put a leadership in play to go through. How does the leader, right? So like, for example, if somebody comes in and says, hey, I want to be that leader underneath the leader, how does that leader, the first top leader, not feel threatened by the second one? How do they not? Because again, to build a leader, you would have to give up some of your leadership for them to demonstrate that they can be a leader. That to me, it could be very scary.
Well, again, then you're not a very good leader. Why? Well, because, Joe, listen closely. A good leader creates other leaders. So if I'm worried about you taking on my leadership role better than I am, well, then I'm not a very good leader. Why? I would want you to do that. I would want all of the people that I am leading to become such great leaders that I no longer have to lead at all. I don't have to do anything. That would be the goal. So to be afraid that you're going to come up and do my job better than me is actually nothing to be afraid of. It's actually the goal. That's a good leader. So if you're in a leadership position and you're worried about other people outshining you and taking your leadership position, well, then again, you have the wrong perspective. Now, there may be some reality in that, depending on the work environment that you exist in. In other words, if you're in a position where someone else could take your position from you, again, and you're worried about that, well, then you're not necessarily a leader. You're in a leadership position, and now you have to worry about the drama and the culture, right? And again, a good leader would be very worried about the culture, because the culture will kill a company. So at the end of the day, leadership is very aware of culture, and to have the culture of I have to block you, or I have to, somehow limit you so you don't take my job. Well, that's obviously scarcity-based mindset in leadership. You don't want that in a company, Joe. You do not want that.
Yes. Right.
You do not want that. You want an abundance mindset in everybody on your team. Like, listen, if you can take my job, brother, you can have it. I can't wait to see what they got next. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I am such a good leader that if you take my role, that's only going to open up other things for me to do. It's going to free me up. The reason I'm leading you is because I'm the best one for the job. Well, when you can come take that job, where does that leave a really good leader? Free to start something else or to do something else.
Yeah.
It's not a scarcity-based thing. It's an abundance thing. I wish everybody on my team would come in here and take my job better than I can do it. I would love that. I am praying for that.
I was going to say that's ultimately the end result of an entrepreneur, is to say someone takes the reins and runs with what I have. and I can still be that individual that I need to be at a
And
next level.
that's why when somebody, in an interview a while back asked me if I was a good leader, I said, not really. And they're like, what do you mean? No one's ever said that before. Well, because number one, I tell the truth, right? I don't think I've been able to build the right team over the last 24 years. Why do I say that? Well, because I'm not where I thought I would be or where I wanted to be. And if that's the case, well, why not? And I can already tell you why not, because I don't have the right team. Well, if I don't have the right team, whose fault is that? Well, it's mine.
Right.
Why? Because if I were a good leader, I would create leaders, and I would have leaders everywhere, and I would have a team of badass leaders killing the game. I would have a killer team. And that team would have gotten me where we were going. So I must have been a bad leader, casting a blurry vision or a selfish vision, who knows? But all of the things that I needed to be as a leader, I must have failed at. So when someone says, Brad, do you think you're a good leader? My answer can only be no. Because if I think in my mind, do I have a killer team? No. I have good players on my team. You know what I mean? I've got some killer players, but I don't have a winning team. How do I? Well, again, by definition, yes, I have a winning team.
You do
but,
that.
but by potential is
Right.
what I'm talking about. I know that I'm winning. I know that, hey, my team's a winning team when it comes to, overall general, conversation. But I'm talking about the team of people that helped me get to $1 billion valuation. I'm talking about a team of people that helped me figure out how to get so much business we don't know what to do with it. I'm talking about the team of marketing experts, sales experts, leadership experts, HR experts, tax experts, like all of the things that we call business, because it's obviously multifaceted.
Of course.
If I had a team of people that just mastered every facet to business, I would be 100 times farther than I am, which tells me in that regard, I don't have a killer team yet. I'm missing roles and positions and people, and I haven't been able to freaking figure out how to attract, nurture, and maintain those people, which would make me a bad leader. So therefore, I cannot be hypocritical and say, hey, this is one way, but I don't fit it. I'm just as guilty. So I think when people are listening to this, what they should probably do is maybe listen to it again and then go take some time and reflect and look in the mirror. Because I know that there's millions of entrepreneurs out there. Okay. And if you ask that entrepreneur, hey, tell me about your team. How good's your team? Not a lot of them are going to say, great, I got a great team. Matter of fact, I hear a lot of times complaints and griping about their team and about how they can't find any good help and about how everybody nowadays just wants to, play games and blah, 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 blah. They're complaining because they cannot find, attract, and maintain a good team, but they don't want to take the ownership. They don't want to take the leadership on owning that themselves. They want to blame, which again, do good leaders blame? No, they don't blame. They take responsibility. They take ownership. They figure it out. They shift perspectives. They inspire people to solve problems, right? So if you're a good leader, my hat's off to you. And there are good leaders out there, but I believe there are very few good leaders in the world. I think everyone should be and should strive to be the greatest leader they can be. And anyone in a position of influence, whether it's your family or your friends or your children, you are a leader, and you should, under all circumstances, try and figure out how to become the best leader you can, because the team that you build will determine the result that you get. So I think that in and of itself answers the first 3 questions that you asked, other than what is the definition of a good leader? Was that the third one?
Right. Well, what was the definition overall of leadership? But I think everything you just rounded out was exactly that definition.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what the definition actually is. I mean, if you asked Alexa, what would it say? Alexa, what is the definition of leadership?
Leadership is commonly defined as the position or function of a leader, someone who guides or directs a group. There are many different aspects and theories of leadership, and it is a complex and multifaceted concept. Leadership can vary depending on the context and the individual's goals and methods. By the way, you have a new notification. Do you want to hear it?
No, thank you, Alexa. Dude, listen, kind of what I said. Like,
yeah,
one
way
way
to say it was spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, there's more than one way to skin a cat. It's a hard thing to define. What does it actually mean? You know, I don't know. I think it's multifaceted. I think a good leader in one case could be a bad leader in another. So that's why I like to simplify it so people don't go crazy trying to figure out whether they're good or bad. If you want to know if you're a good leader, ask yourself one question. Do you have a good team? And if your honest answer is, I have a killer team, well, then you are a good leader, my friend. And let me tell you another way to tell. Are you creating other good leaders?
Right.
If you're creating other good leaders, you're a good leader. If you have a great team, you're a good leader. If you cannot answer those questions in the positive, well, then you're not a good leader. Even if someone tells you you are, even if your wife or your husband or your superiors, you know, your shareholders, whoever wants to, you know, blow smoke up your ass. Are you a good leader? You know, ask yourself, do you have a good team?
Right.
Are you producing other great leaders? If the answers to that are, if the answer to those questions are yes, my hat's off to you, because let me tell you something. It's very difficult to be a good leader. And I think, you know, I am still struggling to become one. And hopefully one day I will become a great leader and you can have me back for another conversation.
Absolutely. I appreciate you with being real, which is a Brad logo. But in order for you to say that, I appreciate the candor and your ability to focus on it. And again, it could be when you said there's these certain things that you need to work on for the multifacets for the business. It may just be one piece that's missing.
Dude, could be your confidence, could be your certainty, could be your vision, could be your ability to communicate your vision. You know, people have to want to achieve where it is you want to go. People need to want to go there. You know, try leading a bunch of people to a place nobody wants to go. Okay. Right. You have to literally sell them on the ability to go there. So there's a lot of things. Exactly. Yeah. But there's a lot of things to work on a regular basis. But the confidence, you know, there's a lot of people out there, they lack confidence. Well, they lack confidence because they don't have any self-worth from whatever story they've bought into over the past, you know, 100 years or however long they've been alive. You know, so how do we get more certain? How do we get more confident? Well, we have to first forgive ourselves for the past. Okay, number one, we've all made mistakes. We all deserve a second chance. So let's go ahead and forgive ourselves for any transgressions from the past. Let's wipe the slate clean. Then step two, let's commit to do what we say we're going to do, and let's make sure that we do it. You know, that is very important. You need to know yourself well enough to know that if you say something, by God, you're going to do it. Number three, let's start becoming really, really aware of how many things we do well. Like, let's win a lot, because winning is the memory of success. You literally, all you want to do if you want to become more confident and more successful is start winning a lot, because winners win and losers lose. You don't want to be a loser. You don't want to lose a lot. So let's lower our goals on a micro level to where every day I set up intentional, you know, wins throughout the day. Waking up in the morning, if I consciously say brushing my teeth is a win. Now, there might be a lot of people that says, Brad, everyone can brush their teeth. That's not a win. You don't get to decide what I decide is a win. So that's the beautiful thing. We get to determine what wins are. I believe brushing my teeth is a win. I believe drinking water, enough water during the day, is a win. I believe freaking making one more call, doing one more rep. I believe little things are wins. And so all day long, I'm winning. And by lunch, man, I'm feeling like $1,000,000. It changes the perspective. It changes the attitude. And now again, people that are following you start to see you acting like they want to be, like they see you positive. They see you motivated. They see you, diligent. They see you disciplined. They want to be that way. Makes it easier to lead, makes people want to follow. So you want to rack up the wins on a daily basis. Then you want to make sure all the negative influence and whatnot is not getting in to change your perspective back to the way it was. You want to constantly weed your garden of all the weeds and the negative influence. And then, of course, you map out and visualize exactly what success looks like, so you know specifically where you're going. That way, every day you can ask a very simple question. Does this move us towards or away? Does this move us towards or away? It's that simple. And the answer is usually, hey, towards or away. And so if it's towards, keep going. Go ahead.
Right.
And if it's away, stop. Okay. You want to move this way. Okay. So at the end of the day, that's mapping out and visualizing every day what success looks like, what it feels like. How's it, it's literally a process that you could spend 10, 20, 30 minutes a day on. And then obviously number 6 is get new information. This is a computer. The more intelligent your computer is, the more value you have, the more value you feel you can provide. And again, that's what we're talking about, is how to get confident, how to get certain, so you can become, a good leader. If you have no confidence and no certainty, it's very difficult to get into a leadership position and win, because no one wants to follow somebody that's indecisive. I always tell people I used to be indecisive. Now I'm not so sure.
Oh, yes. I love it. Perfect. So again, that was phenomenal, and grateful that you came on. I appreciate the authenticity, the being real, acknowledging, but at the same time, you seek new information, as you can see that and on that one. That's the real rhino.
Keep it real. Keep it real, kids.
Perfect. Thank you, Brad. Appreciate you. And we'll talk to you at the next leadership one while you're a better leader.
Joe, hell of a time. Thanks, man.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate you.